We got ourselves a brand new work week. Not only that, officially week 2 of our little live stream here. Officially. And I heard from a lot of you over the weekend with your responses. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate you very much. I'm Bill Adams, and it is Monday, September 30th. Days away from this election. Of course, we're going to get to that. Of course, we're also going to get to Hellish Helene. Maybe not lead off with it because it's just too devastating to talk about for first thing. But we will definitely get to it because that is I've never seen anything like that. You probably haven't either. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Football America reacting to a couple of the presidential candidates and the stark comparison between the two. J.D. Vance got booted out of his own campaign event. That was fun, but he handled it like a champ. That was excellent. Lost an American legend in Kristofferson, and I have a very serious question for you we'll get to in just a couple of minutes. What is it with the Democrats and trying to emasculate men? I mean, honestly, I am dead-ass serious about this question. What is with that? All right, welcome to it, everybody. I hope you had a great weekend. All right, we'll get to Helene and Western Carolina and Tennessee in just a second. But first of all, let's start it off with this. Let's go to Football America. In fact, the University of Alabama, Bryant-Denny Stadium, just under a tick under 100,000 people reacting to when they saw President Trump in the stadium. They knew he was coming. And they put him up on the big screen. How'd that reaction go? You can guess. Yeah. And, of course, Chants of USA broke out and all that stuff. Maybe they were just cheering for Kid Rock. No, I know. It was all about Trump. That's real America. He gets it. He understands where to go. He's never lost that, by the way. He's only gotten better at it. Where to go to the places where his voting bloc, where his base is, where real America is. Not just where the talking heads are, not just the World Economic Forum, not where all these globalist dorks are. He goes to middle America. But to be fair, wasn't the only one going to Football America over the weekend. Tim Walz went to the big house. Not jail yet. No. The football big house, University of Michigan, because his Minnesota Gophers were playing Michigan. So how'd that reaction go? How'd they feel about Tim? Oh, gee. The guy at the end, get out of here. All right, to be fair, I cherry-picked that sound. I'm sure he got a better reception inside, but well, honestly, though, they did boo his motorcade and his security, so judge that as you will. So that was Football America over the weekend. Just interesting. That's I don't want to see it all the time, and I get that it's an election season. I understand that. I wouldn't want to see politicians at football events, NFL crowds, NASCAR, UFC all the time. But right now, totally fine. And the reaction from Trump should have told you everything you needed. Then he did a rally. When he talked about his event after that, and he talked about the actual game, that's where Trump is so good, where he talks about sports. I've said this for years now. I swear to you. He wants to be more involved with sports in his retirement years. Let's hope he gets in November. But after that, after these 4 years, where he gets closer and closer to sports-related Trump. His presidential, think of what the Trump presidential library is going to look like. It's going to look like a sports bar. Pick your favorite sports bar throughout the country. I mean, all the stuff he's collected from his first time in office, all the memorabilia they give him, it's going to look like, it's going to look like a Hooters or something. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. All right. Enough joking around. We got to get the story of the, story of the year so far. I have never seen, and you probably haven't either, damage like what Helene did. Obviously, and this gets sad because you tend to compete with catastrophes here, and we should never forget who's devastated by this. Obviously, Helene left all kinds of damage in the Gulf Coast, the Florida Big Bend area, but then moving inward. There are literally entire towns gone in western North Carolina, and it's not just North Carolina. It's Tennessee as well, parts of Mississippi, parts of Georgia, all affected. But some of the scenes coming out of North Carolina, I've never seen anything like this. There's a town called Chimney Rock, North Carolina. Or I should say that there was. Because it's gone. I don't mean like it's going to take a long time. It'll take months, years to recover. The town is gone. It's just completely gone because of the overflowing, raging river that destroyed that place. A lot of the attention is going to Asheville, North Carolina, but it's not only that, it's all of those areas were affected by this. some of the most horrific scenes I have ever seen in my life. Here's a reporter on the scene in Asheville, North Carolina, in downtown, talking with a couple of different people and giving his take.
It's beyond anything I've ever seen in my lifetime.
Parts of the town not underwater, completely cut off.
Somebody on a Facebook post said something about having to fly out of Asheville because you can't drive out of Asheville.
That extreme.
Yeah.
It's just, I was just in Asheville, by the way, like in, I think it was June. And it just, the overhead shot, it doesn't even look like the same place. There was, now, as of last night, this was the update from the governor of North Carolina, where he said there are 11 deaths, and he said, and this is his quote, and he's exactly right. Tragically, we know there would be more. 10 to 29 inches of rain fell across the mountains of western North Carolina. 30 inches of rain. Still, many, many thousands of people cut off. National Guard of North Carolina has rescued over 100 people. There are 500 North Carolina National Guard on scene, 15 National Guard helicopters trying to get into the area. Now, Governor DeSantis from my state in Florida has committed, I think other states have too, but committed air guard support to try to get people out of there, because it's still, at this point, it's a rescue operation before they can even start to recover property. They're still trying to rescue people. And if you've seen this on social media about it's heartbreaking too. It's tough to even talk about the amount of people who are just posting things, begging for help to find their relatives with a description and, a picture to try to help find them. Just absolutely awful. And it begs the question, one we have to ask. Where's your president? No, strike that, reverse it. Who's your president right now? Let me start with this. One of the guys running to be president is actually acting like the president right now. Trump campaign posted this last night. President Trump's going to be in Valdosta, Georgia today. He's going to get a briefing on the devastation of Helene, distribution of relief supplies, and deliver remarks to the press. That'll happen today. I've been looking, I promise you, I've been looking to see if there's anything coming from the Harris campaign or the actual White House. Joe said everything is committed. They caught him on a tarmac interview, and they said, we've committed all the funds we can. We opened up emergency funds before that into all the areas, including the Gulf of the Big Bend area of Florida, and also the Carolinas and Tennessee. You're not going to see him. There's no way you're going to see him. And let me tell you something. If this lady is not on the ground at some point within the next, I'll call it day and a half, in any one of those areas, that's disqualifying. You can't be president and do that. You can't do it. Absolutely horrific. In fact, there are Democrat candidates further down on the ticket, campaigning, raising money in areas of North Carolina, eastern North Carolina, not affected by this. You can't have it. You absolutely can't do it. Why can't you send Joe? What else does he have to do? This is the part of the presidential job where you provide support. You know what I mean? They'll get money. All kinds of money is going to come to that area. That's not what it's about right now. You have to be on the scene showing support. They have said basically nothing except, we're monitoring the situation. Great. Who isn't? Who in this country is not monitoring that situation? Money's one thing. That's going to be desperately needed. You need to get there. You need to get on the ground as close as you possibly can. Well, we can't put Joe Biden anywhere near there in floodwaters. Why not? What else is he doing? You know he's not acting as president right now. Get him somewhere there to show support for those people. Anybody. Trump's going to Valdosta. Well, Valdosta's not anywhere near. It's closer than they are. Somebody has to show support for these people and offer anything you possibly can. And you always see this happen. There are private rescue missions happening right now for people flying in private helicopters into the areas like Asheville and other places north and in western North Carolina to try to rescue people. Why are there private rescue missions happening before the federal government has stepped in? Most obvious question of all. What is it going to take? How about Asheville or the entire state? Maybe North Carolina should change its name to Kyiv, Ukraine. There'll be $10 billion and immediate presidential support within like 5 hours. No, I'm kidding there, but it's just absolutely ridiculous. And God, I pray for those people. I really do. All right, a little bit lighter, but still kind of swampy because we're getting closer and closer to the election. Imagine if you had a campaign event that was approved, we know this now, and you got kicked out of it. This happened to J.D. Vance at a place called Primanti Brothers. You probably saw this in North Versailles, Pennsylvania. I don't know exactly where that is. I think it's closer to Pittsburgh because there were a lot of people in Steelers jerseys, Stillers, outside waiting to see him. Now, for those people, even though they didn't get to see him inside, those that hung out got to hang out with him in the parking lot, which actually is probably the closest you're ever going to get to the guy. You know, all things considered, that's worked out pretty well for him. Now, they're saying it was a misunderstanding. The Vance campaign, the Trump-Vance campaign says they got complete approval and permission to be at this Primanti Brothers Italian, pizza place, whatever. The staff inside was completely overwhelmed, and there was some very young manager. She couldn't really handle it, so she said, "No, we're not going to do political events. You can't come outside. You can't come out of the car." Senator Vance, understandable. Okay, that's one thing. I will say this though, and this is what I think the takeaway is: this guy handled it like a champ. First of all, he didn't rage fit like probably Tim Walz would have. He handled it outside. He talked to the people that were there, and he said, "Don't take it out on this restaurant. We'll handle it on our own, and let's just focus on what really matters. Let's win this thing in November." In fact, instead of me talking about it, let's hear from J.D. Vance.
We paid for everybody's food. We gave him a nice tip. And, of course, when I gave him a nice tip, I said, no taxes on tip. God bless you. It's all right. Don't hold it against her. She just got a little nervous, but it's a great local business. Let's keep on supporting it. And most importantly, November 5th or before, go vote. Let's go win this thing.
I think that's perfect. I think that's where he's so good. Didn't rage fit, calm, cool, collected. Somebody that's actually been in the service, and he's actually seen action overseas. Tim Walz. By the way, they have a debate tomorrow night we're going to talk about. We'll be talking about that a lot tomorrow. Did you hear this? I always take these things with a couple of grains of salt. Is it true? I don't know. You hear rumblings out of these campaigns. A lot of this stuff is made up because we're so close. We're like in the red zone to the election. The word out of the Harris camp is Tim Walz is, quote, nervous about facing J.D. Vance. It would make sense that he is, because he's kind of like a quirky, nervous guy anyway. But J.D. Vance is a smart debater. I think, normally I will be completely honest with you, and you might be the same. I'll have zero interest in any vice presidential debate. No, didn't interest me. I never thought it moved the needle either way. I think this one might tomorrow night. I think it actually might. Now, we're all looking for J.D. Vance to just send Walz into a rage fit, right? Because we know he has a temper. Like, just stay calm, stay cool, say some things that'll send him over the edge. And Walz will start waving his arms like he always does. And they had the nerve to call other people weird, right? Yeah, sure. We'll see. All right, we got to get to something that, and I kind of teased this in the intro, and I am dead-ass serious about this question. I am not kidding you. I have my theories we'll get to in a second, but they're just theories. You may have noticed it. What is with the Democrats and trying to emasculate men? Honest question. I mean, honest to God. Well, Bill, that's not really happening. Oh, it's not? I'm going to play for you a clip from the most cringy, just unsettling interview you could ever possibly see or hear. In this case, MSNBC. Jen Psaki, remember her as the press secretary? We'll circle back to that. She interviewed the first gentleman, Doug Emhoff, over the weekend. Yeah, Kamala's guy. First of all, I don't know any guy, and this is just my life, this is just my sample size. I don't know any guy that would want to be called the first gentleman, or second gentleman. Anything gentleman. Like I'd say, just don't give me the title. Wait, can you just call me like if I was him, I was like, just call me Doug. That'll work. But this is what she asked him. Now, go back to my original question, why they're trying to emasculate men. You tell me that this isn't by design. This is what it sounded like.
Important part, or an interesting part of how people have talked about your role here is how your role has reshaped the perception of masculinity. And I'm not sure you planned on that, but you are an incredibly supportive spouse. Has that been an evolution for you? And do you think that's part of the role you might play as first gentleman?
Ew. I should have played his response. He actually came back after that and he goes, well, I've been thinking about this a lot. Oh, okay. Now, I have my theories. We all have our theories, right? I'll never be able to prove this. I don't think anyway. My theory is, you may think this is insane. My theory is if you emasculate men, they're much less likely to fight. They're much less likely to fight against, tyranny, stand up against a regime, question things. It's my theory anyway. And what's with that, by the way? What's built in her question? You're a very supportive husband. Wait, you can't be like a dude? That can fix things, work with his hands, maybe be a blue-collar guy. You can't be that and not be a supportive husband? I don't know. I'm going full conspiracy theory on this. I think it's by design. I really do. The second gentleman, and possibly the first gentleman. Ay, good Lord. John Kerry. That's right. He's back. Frankenstein. That corrupt pile of sticks. He looks like a tree now. Have you seen him? He was at the World Economic Forum over the weekend. That's right. That's right. It's like the Legion of Doom. It's like the epicenter for all the globalists. And it's amazing. They do these. You hear the most outlandish things said at these things. They do these forums, and Hillary was there on Friday, I think it was, and then he was there, and they do these sit-down forums, and they ask him these questions, and they say it out loud. The World Economic Forum is where they say all of this stuff that you accused the globalists of, and they actually say it. Like John Kerry. My jaw dropped when I heard him say this. He is actually coming out and saying out loud, the First Amendment, that's a problem. That's a problem we need to fix because people are seeking out their own answers now. We can't have that. Everything you ever accused them of, they're actually saying out loud now. So we should believe them. This is long, but you got to listen to the whole thing. Here's John Kerry at the World Economic Forum just this weekend. It's unbelievable.
And people go and people self-select where they go for their news or for their information.
Oh,
and
God
then
forbid.
you just get into a vicious cycle. So it's really, really hard, much harder to build consensus today than at any time in the 45, 50 years I've been involved in this. And there's a lot of discussion now about how you curb those entities.
Curb those entities, says John Kerry. In other words, that's censorship. That means that free speech thing, well, that's a serious problem. People seeking out their own, self-selecting what information they find, that's a problem. Now, to be sure, is there a lot of misinformation out there? Of course there is. Let me ask you what's worse. Being just subjected to, as we were, by the way, in this country for decades, 60 full years of regime-approved messaging from all the major mainstream networks that tell you they'll force feed you all this information and lied to us all for decades and decades and decades. Or just being able to seek out your own information. And I will say it again, God, please protect Elon Musk. This is a completely different situation we're talking about. If he hadn't bought Twitter, turned it into X, and you have at least a shot of free information. John Kerry doesn't want you to make up your own mind. Again, it's like a theme. When they tell you what they are, believe them. All right, sad news, but really, you know what? You can't call it sad because this is one of the most amazing lives of all time. This is a life lived, my friend. We lost Kristofferson. Country star, songwriter, but a lot more than that, as we're about to find out. Over the weekend, he was 88. The family said no cause of death. And I hope they don't give any. I hate when they delve into exactly what the problem was or if he was sick. Just let us enjoy his life and everything he contributed. You know, Kristofferson, A Star is Born. In that, me and Bobby McGee wrote that, Sunday Morning Coming Down, all the great songs he wrote, so much more. And this is a great collection of everything this guy did in his life that you may not be aware of, and I was made aware of it just a few years ago. Kristofferson was a Rhodes Scholar, first of all. He attended the University of Oxford. He excelled at academics, boxing, rugby. Okay, right there would be a pretty fulfilling life, right? Oh, no. He attended the rank of captain in the U.S. Army. He served in Korea. He completed Ranger School. He was a helicopter pilot. Okay, add those 3 items right there. That's another life lived. Then he moves to Nashville, as we all know, in 1965, and he seeks out Johnny Cash. Just wanted to get his demo tapes and his songs that he had written to Johnny Cash to get some attention, right? So he gets a job. This is a guy that is a Rhodes Scholar and a veteran. Probably could have worked at IBM if he wanted to. Gets a job sweeping the floors at Columbia Recording Studios in Nashville. Meets June Carter, closely connected to Johnny Cash. Gives him the tape of him singing, gives it to Johnny, and throws it in a pile with a bunch of the others. Rest is history because the song's shone through, and he actually gets a recording contract. You probably know about, later on, the Highwaymen in 1985. Put that group together with Willie, Waylon, Johnny Cash, and Kris. They all formed the Highwaymen, which is an amazing development. And he also was a prolific actor. You know about A Star is Born, but he was also in 100 TV shows and films. And, of course, he got the Country Music Lifetime Achievement Award. Every award you can possibly imagine, even though he wasn't really a Nashville industry kind of guy. Amazing, amazing life. So, yeah, sad that we lost somebody like that, but, man, what an incredible life. We should all hope to achieve what that guy did. Kristofferson, pour one out for him this week. And pour one out for the poor people of Western North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, parts of Mississippi as well. Gulf Coast folks. Just a sad thing. We'll keep updating you on that as we go along here. But they're going to need our help. That's all of us, too, however we can help, because it's going to take a long time. It's not just money. It's support, too. So help out however you can. All right, that's it for today. Tomorrow, we got a lot of preview on the debate, the vice presidential debate we actually care about, only because we want to see a Tim Walz meltdown, right? I mean, that's why we're into this thing. All right, we'll talk about that. Have a great day. Thanks, as always, for finding us. A lot of you over the weekend, like I said in the intro, had some great comments about the live stream. I appreciate that so much. You people are just awesome. I really appreciate you. We're just having fun. That's all this is, talking about stuff, getting through these crazy times together. The live stream, obviously, on X and YouTube right now, and then it lives as a post later on. Also, the audio version is wherever you get them. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and I don't know, all of them. It's out there. I got to put today's together right now, in fact. Have a great day. Have a great Monday. Keep your hearts and thoughts open for the people suffering from Helene. They're going to need our help for sure. Don't take any crap from anybody. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.